Hey everyone, Eric here. In this video, we're checking out the Abelha Fuzz from Beetronics. The Abelha Fuzz is Beetronics' tribute and kind of harkening back to the Brazilian psychedelic bands from the 70s. But this pedal is awesome because it does that and a whole bunch more. Before we get into it, let's go over the signal chain. I'm using my Squier Classic Vibe Jazzmaster that's been heavily modified. We have an Invader style pickup. It's a humbucker, really high output. We're running into the Abelha, and then from the Abelha, we're going to the Boss Katana set pretty clean. First, right out of the box, I love the way it looks. Beetronics makes some of my favorite looking pedals, some of my favorite pedals in general. I actually have the Swarm tattooed right there, so I love everything that Beetronics does. So this is even more of the same. It's awesome. The Abelha is a fuzz pedal. We have 3 different modes. We have 4 knobs, so 2 right here in the middle, 2 up here on the top, 1 foot switch that can access a different mode. So the Abelha uses some of the same building blocks that are in other Beetronics pedals. So if you know how to work other Beetronics pedals, you're not going to be lost in this one. So let's go ahead and jump into the controls. Right up here we have the loud control. This is going to be our overall output volume. So if we turn it all the way down, we kick on the pedal, we're not going to get anything. We turn it up to get incredibly loud. Now, right next to the loud control, we have the buzz control, and this is going to be our overall amount of gain in whichever mode we're in. So if we turn it down, we're gonna get a less fuzzy sound. And as we start to turn the buzz control up, we're going to introduce more saturation into the sound. Now the next 2 controls are EQ controls for our high end up here on the top and our low end right here on the bottom. Now in the middle, we get a pretty flat response. From there, we can choose to shape our sound however we want. So maybe I think this guitar is just putting out too much high end. I want to turn the high end down. So all I do is take the high knob and I turn it counterclockwise. Of course, conversely, if we want to add in more high end, we just turn it clockwise. And then you heard all the way up there at the top of the high control, we're getting a lot of treble. So the same thing goes for the low end. If we have a guitar that's maybe a bit too dark sounding, or we just want a thinner sound, we can turn the low all the way down. And then from here we can turn the low up and gradually introduce more and more low end. And that's going to bring us to our mode toggle. Now we have 3 different positions on this toggle which correlate to 3 different fuzz voicings, or 3 different fuzz modes. So in the left-hand side, that one's titled pollen, or pollen. I'm just going to go ahead and say pollen because that sounds bee-like. So in this mode, we get a spitty fuzz, kind of like that dying battery sound, so it's kind of broken up a little bit and it's not super smooth. All the other controls still apply, so if we wanted to have less gain, we could turn the buzz down. So we fine-tune our gain amount there, but now we can choose to alter the voicing of it. So if we want to add a whole bunch of low end, that sounds kind of cool, but now we can choose to add in a whole bunch of high end. You know what? Let's go ahead and add in all of the low end too. Now in the middle of the fuzz mode is labeled nectar. It's a full frequency, really saturated fuzz. And as we move on, we get into more of an overdrive sound in the honey mode, which lives on the right side of the mode toggle. Now this is a little thinner sounding and a little more smooth sounding. Very smooth sound. Let's go ahead and increase the gain just to hear the whole gain range in the honey mode. So I'm gonna go ahead and set it down to minimum. So in this mode, we definitely have a more mid-ranged voice. So one thing that might help is to add a little bit more low end in there. So right there you heard I added a whole bunch of bass in there, and then I took some out and added some treble in there. So just to demonstrate that in this mode you can really voice your own sound as well. Now speaking of voice, the last control that we have to cover is the alternate voicing in each mode. And that can be accessed with the foot switch right here. If you've used any of the other Beetronics pedals that have multiple modes that can be switched back and forth, like the Vespa, the Zombie, anything like that, you know that you can press and hold to momentarily switch the modes, or the voices in this instance, or you can double tap to take you into the other mode permanently until you want to get out of that mode. And before we demonstrate this, another really cool thing that Beetronics has done is allowed you to customize your foot switch preference in speeds of 3 different levels, so you can really fine-tune how sensitive you want the foot switch to be to the speed of your tapping. So let's go ahead and hear this alternate voicing. To my ear, this kind of sounds like a super fuzz type voicing. So this is the normal voicing. Everything, I'm gonna set the low and high at about 60%. And then with the LEDs here being pink and blue, that's our normal voice. And if we double press, and the LEDs turn to green, blue, yellowish, that's gonna be our alternate voice. So let's go ahead and hear the normal voice, then I'll double tap and we'll go into that alternate voice. So that really scoops out a ton of mid-range, and it gives us this insanely heavy sound that, again, really reminds me of like a super fuzz or the hyper fuzz, kind of, something that like a stoner band would play. Something like that. It sounds really awesome, and you can do it through each mode. So when we're in this voice, the green, yellow, bluish voice, we can choose different modes. So we can apply that voice to the pollen mode, the spittier sounding fuzz. Or we can go to the honey mode. So now I've got my Squier Classic Vibe Precision Bass plugged into the same pedal, the Abelha, and then into the same amp. Here's a clean sound. Now let's go ahead and hear how the Abelha sounds on bass. We're gonna be in the Nectar mode, which is that full fuzz mode. We've got the buzz on 50, and then both the EQs are up at like 55 to 60%. So that sounds really cool to me. Let's go ahead and turn the fuzz up, or the buzz. Let's go ahead and turn the low control up. Okay, that sounds awesome. It's very mid-heavy in this normal voice, so I think it's gonna sound incredible in the alternate sort of mid-scoop voice. So let's hear that. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Abelha Fuzz from Beetronics. If you want to learn more, I'll leave a link to the Beetronics website in the description below. And if you want to pick up the Abelha for yourself, I'll leave a link to the Sweetwater website in the description below, and that's going to be an affiliate link. So what it'll do is it'll take you directly to the Abelha product page, and if you decide to buy one or anything through that link, I get a small commission. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and it helps save you time just by taking you directly where you want to go. And it's a great way to help support the channel if you want to do so. I want to send a huge thank you to my Patreon fam. I really appreciate your support over there. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for watching. I hope you're doing well out there. I hope you're staying safe. And most of all, I hope you're taking care of yourself. I'll see you in the next video.